Hello and welcome to the Aussie Mixed and Fixed GT Championship live on Apex Racing TV and live on the iRacing Esports Network. My name is Sam Fitzpatrick. Alongside me tonight is Daniel Leet with Scott Newton operating the cameras. We're here for round 7 of the championship, and it is quite a host, Daniel, for this round 7. We're at the Nordschleife. The ILMS community decided to pick this circuit. Imagine LMP1's round this place. We've just got the GTEs tonight, but what a challenge it is. One of the most unique circuits in the world, one of the most demanding, and for many of these guys, one of the most fun as well. It's really a once-a-season event.
Yeah, definitely. First off, good evening to all the viewers, Sam, to yourself, and Scott behind the camera. Great to be back for this one. But yeah, it's a super tricky circuit trying to work your way around the Nurburgring. The short GP layout is something that the guys should all be pretty adapt to, but coming out onto the open, fast-flowing nature of the big circuit, we've seen it already through qualifying and pre-qualifying. A lot of guys struggle to get clear, consistent laps in, and we've got a massive field out here tonight as a result of that. So it's going to be really tricky for these guys to work their way around, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we get through with as little incidents as possible.
Yeah, fingers crossed. 90 minutes of racing. It's the third endurance event of the season. Out so far, we've got Barcelona coming up next week. But yeah, this is a big round of the championship. Double points, of course, available for these endurance meetings. As we get into the mid part of the season, we'll start to get a better picture of who is going to be fighting for the AMF crown at the end of the season. We're currently in practice, as Daniel was saying. There has been a pre-qualifying where drivers made plenty of mistakes. We've got a huge field out here today as well. In the mid-50s amounts of drivers. It's one of the highest amounts of participation I've ever seen in this championship. I think there might even be another split as well going on all the while. And this circuit, more than any other, is a specialist circuit, I'd say. You can be struggling everywhere else during the season, and you can pop into the car here. If you've done a few extra VLN races, if you've done a couple of Nurburgring 24 events, all of a sudden you can find yourself on the mid-pack right at the front. It's just one of those circuits.
Yeah, definitely. And for the specialists that are out there, they've obviously put in a huge amount of time. They're very familiar with the car and the circuit combination before we even get here. They're going to certainly shine. And you see that around many of other circuits on iRacing, like within Australia, for instance. We've got a lot of Bathurst-only specialists. You'll see those guys always at the forefront come to that circuit, but maybe put them somewhere else a little bit out of their comfort zone. So for the guys that are really adapt to this place, they'll certainly come through the field, and we should see them putting on a very solid showing.
And in the championship, it's been a topsy-turvy season. Probably the most consistent man so far this season has been Craig Edwards. Currently leads the championship with 3,753 points, with Joshua Thomas second place. Thomas, arguably the fastest driver so far this season, but has made a couple of mistakes during the season. Also, Ross Rizzo, Michael Healy, and defending champion Timothy Phoeben rounding out the top 5. We'll keep you up to date with those points as today is going on to see if there's going to be any large changes in the championship order. So we have ticked over to the race session, and we are going to be able to take you through your starting grid for this round 7 of the championship. It's Hugh Barter on pole position. Lucky Brown, superb qualifying for him, up there in second place. In third, it is Michael Healy, and then Ross Rizzo lining up in fourth, Timothy Phoeben in fifth, Kane Ryder, Craig Edwards, Nathan Huppert, Joshua Thomas, and Martin Crisp round out the top 10. Then it's Adrian Block, Sean Curran, Jeremy Clark, Harley Haber, Mario Bartanian, Philip Morton, Matt Morris, Simon Nicholson, Aaron Specchio, Steve Janssen, Jordan Pruden, Chris Pellet, Eddie Beswick, Tom Huggan, Vaughan Ryder, Dave Clements, Lee Siddles, Robert Crisdell, Peter Hunter, Pat Gallo, Christopher Hughes, James Glasspole, B.J. Kennedy, Blake Delaney, Paul Woods, Mitchell Bales, Brinton Hobson, Scott Sislowski, Reese Whiteling, James Wood, Lockhart Brownlee, Michael Whiting, Ben Ryder, Paul Jones, Paul Warwick, Greg Sharp, Justin Quinn, Nathan Saunders, Aaron Cooper, and Brad Wilson. Also, I think that is everyone. I think that's everyone. Maybe Justin Cotswell as well. I take that. Admin's apologies is Justin Cotswell. That is the good 50 judges. I'm so pleased that they are Australian names. I think if they were European names, I think we'd be all day, frankly, for this one. We've got the GP circuit, Daniel, without the arena. Would you say that's a better start? Do you think that's a first few corners which are going to cause less issues, or do you think it's still going to be problematic?
Look, it's probably not too bad in the GP section of the circuit. I mean, not having that little extra hairpin and for the guys to negotiate, probably not a bad thing. I think the biggest challenge, though, is going to be once we get back onto the Nurburgring itself, and for all the guys trying to navigate their way through there, especially as you see here, not a lot of room for these guys to really go too wide here. So it's going to be really key that they can get into single file and do what they can to get those cars through.
So off we go then. So starts off 90 minutes of racing. It's Hugh Butler from the pole position, and he had a good launch into the draft. Those goes Lockie Brown, Kane Ryder getting past Timothy Beeben, and Joshua Thomas also already getting past Nathan Harper. It's breaking down into the first chicane. Now I'll just go through the little cut through to avoid the arena section. So far, everyone very cautious on the brakes, realising that this is going to be a long race. However, at the same time, it's going to be tricky to pass on the Nordschleife. We want to really get past on this GP section of the circuit. But so they're pulling away from the rest of the drivers. Already got a 1 second lead over Lockie Brown. In the end, Beeben getting back past Kane Ryder. Great start for Harley Haber. He's the biggest gainer, 14th to 10th so far for the United Sim Sports driver. Also, Matt Morris just losing a place on Button in as well with a good start. But no changes in the top 7 so far as they make their way through the Schumacher S at the moment. And quickly the opportunities are going to whittle down. We're soon going to head into the forest, head into the mountains. But there's still a little bit of side-by-side going on. Beswick and Janssen going alongside. Beswick just getting ahead. He's up a few places already on this race start. But very nice driving from the majority of the field.
Yeah, really good getaway from everyone. We haven't seen any major issues. Probably the exception to that is Sean Curran, who's down 18 spots from where he started. But everyone else getting through reasonably nice. We see everyone now starting to get onto the Nordschleife for the first time here. And so far, so good for everyone. You see Chris Pallett down in the 22nd getting on there and doing a good job. Tom Huggin also finds his way on in the Ford now. It's going to be interesting to see how these cars go. Ooh, so that's Pat Gallo precariously across the track there.
Okay, contact just behind, and that is Pat Gallo there, as you were saying, and dropping right to the back of the order. Shame for him. No safety cars in this race as well. At least that's what we're hoping, otherwise we would be here for about 40 minutes for that safety car period to finish off, because it would be 3 laps at a very slow pace. And instead it should just be the virtual safety car if we absolutely need one, though that's pretty low risk as well, as you've got to be right on the pace right away. You can't afford to leave a gap and just hope for safety cars being back in play later on. You've got to be on the money from the start. Rizzo, after pressuring Healy earlier on, there's a bit of pressure now from the car number 1, the defending champion Timothy Beeben, running in 5th place in the championship, running 5th place in this race at the moment. But it's all very calm so far for these leading drivers, and already quite a bit of field spread as well. Got about 17 seconds at the moment, separating first to 20.
Yeah, we just saw 2 Lee Siddles there just getting unloaded on the circuit. He'll have to try and turn that car around and get back underway as a couple of incidents start to creep their way up for these guys with a little bit of contract. Adrian Vlock here is in a pretty good train. He's got right behind him Phil Morton, just ahead Mario Vertinen in the Mark 1 car there. So it's a good little train, 6-7 cars in it. Keep an eye on Matt Morris just at the back here as well. He'll be looking to bring forward that Velocity Motorsports magazine car.
Oh, he's wide. No further action in the Karen incident when he had a spin with Galley. But yeah, no. But Beeben, I think Beeben's dropped it, and I think Edwards is off the circuit as well. We're about to come across it. Where are they? Well, they seem to have recovered, but it's very close, and there is damage on Timothy Beeben's car. Now, how much damage? And at the front of this pack is Craig Edwards. So Edwards and Beeben coming together, but there was a bit of gap between the two of them. But you can see Edwards' rear wing really damaged and Beeben's rear wing really damaged. I wonder if they've just done the exact same incident, or maybe Beeben's gone off ahead and there's been nowhere for Edwards to go. But this is big trouble for a couple of the favourites for the championship leader, Craig Edwards, involved in this one. So King Rider was ahead of this pack. He's actually dropped a place, and then there was the car number 1 of Beeben, and then Edwards taking evasive action, and he made contact with the wall. Must have just been blindsided because the BMW was covering off the viewfront.
Yeah, a little bit unfortunate there for those two guys getting involved in it. It's going to be something we're going to see as this pack sort of racing evolves over the course of the race, with the guys just trying to edge these cars forward. So they're going to have to be a little bit cautious here. It is only lap 1. We've still got a long way to go as this race unfolds, and we're only 5 minutes into it. So the guys really just need to settle down a bit, just get their thoughts right and start focusing ahead.
Even with decent pace at the moment, although has he dropped behind Thomas? Not sure. I have to come into the pits. We'll need to make 2 pit stops with all these drivers, and you can afford to pit on this opening lap of the race and still get to the end of the race with 1 more stop beyond that. And that's what a couple of these guys are going to do. It will put you in trouble though, in terms of having to make up places later on, moving away through the traffic. And it's not easy to overtake around this place, of course. Phil Morton, he's a specialist around this circuit. He knows pretty much every corner name around this place. And he's right now very quick. He's behind Adrian Block for the BFG Quick Fix Computers team. So no way through at the moment. Just now just to wait till the Dotner Ho, of course, at the end of the lap where overtaking becomes very possible. Also, Lockie Brown putting some pressure on the race leader, Hugh Barter. At the moment, it's down to 0.4 of a second between the top 2.
Yeah, the top 2 have managed to get themselves a nice little gap over the remainder of the field. We'll keep an eye on that as you can see the sector times there starting to fall in the favour of Brown. He's taking just a couple of tenths here and there out of him, so moving forward quite nicely, must be said.
A lot of sectors around this place, 14. It takes our entire timing screen. Ooh, that's a little bit of a drop out there for the race lead. He's going to be able to pressure his Barter down the Dotner High. I don't think he's really going to have any defence. Not necessarily the end of the world if you get overtaken, but I doubt the pole sitter would be a massive fan of it. Here comes the BMW and already trying to break the draft IndyCar style for Hugh Barter. But my experience, at least in the Apex Racing League GT Championship, the BMW is pretty quick down the straights. Might just be a set-up thing, or maybe it is just a characteristic of the car. So that looks pretty handy for Lockie Brown. The 3-2-4 car edges into the lead, and that momentum should see him ahead when they plunge down the hill. And there he is. Barter might be able to come back perhaps down into turn 1 on lap 2. At the same time, they don't want to lose each other too much time. Edwards and Beeben. Edwards has had another off, I think. Or is that just him losing a position because of his struggling straight line speed? He'll definitely be into the pits, I think, with Beeben. Yeah, I think that's just because he's struggling down the straights at the moment. Will him and Beeben opt in? First and 5th in the championship at the moment. And they stay out? I'm surprised by that, Daniel.
No, it's not a bad idea. Fuel's going to be the big factor that these guys are going to need to keep on consideration. Obviously, they will get the quick repairs that will help them out, but keeping the fuel in the car at this point would be a bit more beneficial than coming in and getting that stop done. Try and limit those stops stationary.
Alongside Vlok, Morton's actually got ahead of these guys. Morton's locked off incident. He's a second and a half ahead of these guys now. Block does defend from Chris Maybe that was actually an overtake on the Canadian. Has improved a lot as Martin Chris still gets involved in a few too many incidents. I think a part of that's probably down to the netcode, of course, him based in a different continent. Oh, slithering down the inside goes Matt Morris. He's also got a few license points during the season. Chris keeps his car alongside, but does the wiping just a little bit earlier on the brakes. And it is Morris who moves up into 14th place. Here comes Nicholson as well behind. He's 2 tenths of a second back. Just lifted out of that one.
Yeah, I think all the teammates there with Nicholson. We've got Aaron Specchio not that far behind as well. Another one of the XRC Porsches. Those guys will really need to start trying to work together and bring those cars forward. Matt Morris already just starting to edge a little bit of an advantage after getting past Crisp there, which is good to see. But the 2 XRG cars flying in formation at the moment.
Fastest. I mean, does that even represent? I'm not sure. I'm just. Must be our overlay. I think our overlay is like as fastest first sector. I think it was for Blake Delaney down in 25th place. He's randomly just set the fastest first sector, about half a second faster than anyone else, and it's only about 20 seconds long. I don't know how he's done that. That might be a glitch in our screen, frankly. But well, he's got that part of the circuit sorted, doesn't he? If we were just doing the first half of the GP track, then we'd be winning this race with Delaney, stuck in 25th place in a little bit of a pocket at the moment. Healy has, well, Barton got back past Brown, and Healy for Trick Esports, he's right with them now. Barton just making a little bit of a gap, 6 tenths of a second. Edwards now behind Barton Nian. Scott Newton was whispering, oh, as Edwards actually gone off the circuit, he's very slow, he's just lost another place now to Morton. There he is. Oh, maybe he's just got absolutely crushing straight line speed, Edwards. Scott Newton whispered in our ear earlier on that he thought that fuel would be the limiting factor. That I think these guys can still put in 100% fuel for their tank, and if they did that, oh, Edwards gone off again, so that's why he lost the time. He's got any more damage than he had before, but terrible meeting so far for the championship.
Yeah, that was a tough second hit into the wall there, and it's one of the quick corners there if you haven't got a car that's set up just right. Oh, he finds his way into the wall again. There's not turning out to be a fantastic lap at all for Edwards, unfortunately, there. And he'll be definitely trying to get that car home. As James Glasspool and Aaron Specchio work their way down into that same section where we just saw Edwards, so look for that Fusion Sim Racing car just a little bit ahead, struggling to get their way around, but for 22nd, 23rd, not too bad. Vaughan Ryder's starting to get into this little fight as well.
The good news for Edwards is that you do get a drop round out of the endurance meeting, so you have 4 endurance meetings and you have to drop your worst score. You also have to drop one of your... Oh, that's hard into the wall. That's steering damage right there for Specchio. That was way too deep. Absolutely cracking the car there. You're not going to get that one back to the pits. May as well stop and tow. Yeah, good news for Edwards is that he does get a drop score out of these endurance rounds, and so far he's got a first place at Daytona and then I think a 7th last time out at Watkins Glen. So this would easily be his drop round. He just needs to make sure he has a good result at Barcelona. That wouldn't be too bad for the current championship leader, who didn't even go back to the pits over this. No, he's still in 21st place at the moment. Here is Chris battling with Nicholson. He still hasn't got past, and now Beswick gets past Gaston, who was very slow, and they're 2 by 2 now. Chris can romp ahead a while. Spat out through this next left-hander with the downforce of these GTE cars. Still don't want to be alongside, and off to the grass, and probably tapping the wall there was Karan, who escaped a penalty earlier on in the event. That was very close, and you can see the slipstream effect around that part of the circuit. They're right back onto the back of Chris.
Yeah, that was actually Dave Clemens there we saw in the Mike 1 car going off wide, so he's lucky to keep that thing off the rails and get back underway. Hasn't lost a lot of time to these guys ahead. Chris Nicholson still going at it, and actually Janssen, I think, has just gone into the wall as well, and he's dropped down just a couple of positions.
think they've got that going now. Oh, well, Edwards is now. Edwards is behind these guys. They're still falling down at the moment. Janssen and Kuran seemingly getting back underway, but they have lost about 6 seconds and did hit the wall. They seem to kind of go into the wall. One went into the wall and the other went into the wall. Out of our sympathy for his rival. This lap 2 of this round 7, the Aussie Mixed and Fixed GT Championship, season 11 from the Nordschleife. I'm glad that you've tuned in to watch this meeting so far. I think it always appeals to casual viewers seeing these GT cars come round the Nordschleife, and hopefully you're enjoying the show at the moment. Plenty of strategy coming up, and we've got plenty of drivers who can still win this race. Also, virtual safety cars could really mix up the order as well later on. So keep tuned for the 90 minutes, and I'm sure some big action will be delivered for you. I've done DGFX races around this place, Daniel, where they have had virtual safety cars, and that is a possibility today. And one of the weaknesses of the virtual safety cars when you limit it on the pit limiter, so of course if you're going around this part of the circuit on the dot and a hoe, it's going to lose you a lot more time than if you're going through the tight, twisty mountainous sections, and so you can actually lose twice as much time under virtual safety car depending on what part of the circuit you're on. Which could really mix it up. If you have a different pit strategy to someone else, it will put you in trouble.
Yeah, definitely. I think timing, and it's one of those things you can never say it's going to happen here and I need to be here in the event that it does happen, but just the luck of the draw with those ones really comes into play as we see Lockie Brown just getting the BMW just ahead of Hugh Barter. He flies it up over the curbs and that will come across the line. Should be to lead the second lap here. Michael Healy also dropping right back in, but absolutely nothing separating these two. And I wouldn't mind betting that Barter will get this move completed down into turn 1.
Yeah, immediately coming back. This is what he did on the last lap. And with this exact same move, it hasn't worked this time. Although he will get a good cut back here. The BMW sliding out of the corner, that was easy in the end for Barter. I think Brown had that one covered because of the slide from Barter, but just ran a bit too deep going through the second part of that chicane. Such an awkward corner. It is a shame that they got rid of the old turn 1 and 2, which was used 2001 and earlier, because that was very much quite an awkward corner to negotiate. But the rest of the circuit is very fast and flowing. Is this Nurburgring combined lap, the 24 layout we are using. Nathan Huppert's under pressure from Ryder and Theben doing remarkably well, considering the damage. Also, we've had Craig Edwards, BJ Kennedy and Steve Janssen all come into the pits on this last lap. We did see Edwards and Janssen both hit the wall. Not sure about Kennedy. So watch out for Edwards later on. Did drop outside the top 20, championship leader. But I'm sure we'll be fighting back into the top 10 by the end of the race as long as he has a clean run. Martin Crispy, he's continuing to drop down the order. Thanks, by the way, to the chat, Adrian Lichty. Quite unfortunately, we don't have Adrian out on circuit today, but hopefully we'll see him back out soon. But thanks to Adrian. Martin is actually located in Australia, just comes from Canada. So thanks for that info.
Yeah, still got our top 3, just over 8 tenths separating further down the field. Everyone's starting to get a good little bit of a gap between them. Martin Crisp hasn't let go of this fight here. He's got Dave Clements in the Ford just ahead. For the Michael Esports team, right behind him is Robert Crisdale from JPS Simshed's team. So just finds himself in a bit of a Ford sandwich here at the moment, but both these cars looking very, very good as they work their way down through the first section of the Nordschleife.
Crisp was 13 seconds off the pace in that last lap. A bit worrying for him. He was overtaken a couple of times, it will be said. But even around this long circuit, in fact, the race is 8-minute 1s. In fact, Healy with the fast lap on that last lap, an 8-minute 0. 1.15 could well break that 8-minute mark pretty soon. And then 8-minute 2s for a few drives, then 8-minute 6s into the kind of the early 10s. And then in the mid 10s, you got kind of 8-minute 10 or higher. So quite a pace difference, but it's very difficult to compare because everyone kind of in a bit of traffic at the moment out on circuit. Here's Mitchell Bales at 1.2 seconds behind Chris Pellet. But Pellet actually on that last set too, 8-minute 12. He is catching up to the few drivers ahead of him.
Yeah, it's interesting to see, keep an eye just on the lap times that the guys are starting to put in now. Considering what we saw in qualifying over the pre-qual and qualifying sessions, we saw Hugh Barter down into a 7:57 and 7:5, so that was a blistering lap. And we look at what they're at now, 8:01. Admittedly, a little bit of battling between those guys, but the pace just falling off a little bit as the guys start to save the tyres and work their way through. Pat Gallo recovering after his earlier issue. We saw that on the start of the Nordschleife lap 1 getting rotated around. He's got Steve Jansen right behind, trying to get a move done on Aaron Cooper just ahead in the BMW. So these guys are well down the order, currently in 42nd, 43rd, 44th respectively. A lot of work for them to do.
Oh, there's no, that's no problem. Yeah, just my screen. It's a big circuit this, so our time screens occasionally mess up slightly, but it is all right. Yeah, Gallo, of course, yeah, with that spin earlier on. Cooper nearly pushing Janssen off. Just about makes his way past today. The BMW, once again, good straight line speed. This is for position, although in reality, it's not really anything worth fighting. And Janssen eventually does get past, and Gallo will try to nip through as well. Remember, fixed setup in this series. Everyone's running the same setup, at least when you're in the same car. But they're all monitored either setup by the admins to make sure that across the season all the cars are very evenly matched. So this is one of the kind of fairest and most evenly matched series you'll see on the iRacing esports network. And certainly, if you're based in Australia, do sign up for I'm not sure how to do that. Do you know how to sign up for a championship, Daniel? You probably know best than me.
Well, for anyone interested in running, you jump onto the AMF Discord and you can sign up and register from there to come and compete in the championship. It's very, very good. Obviously, 4 classes they do run it throughout this championship, as denoted by the colour stack on the timing and scoring tower there. So it's really open for everyone to come through. We've seen a lot of young drivers that maybe very new to the platform come in, work their way up, and you see them up towards the sharp end of the field with a bit of practice as well. So yeah, for all the guys here, I know the race stewards would love to have more drivers in, and more drivers in the better. It breeds a lot more competition for all these guys as well.
Yeah, you usually have a couple of splits in this championship. So even if you're not the fastest, you'll be put with drivers who are evenly matched to you, and you might be able to nick a race win perhaps in split 2 or split 3. So it really is, as Shane was saying, open to all skill levels. And yeah, certainly hope that you get some interest and do join the championship. But of course, we took the lead, and once again, he opens up the gap to 3/4 of a second. He can't get out of draft range at the moment. Lap times are good for these drivers. They are now 6.5 seconds ahead of Rizzo. This turning into a 3-way fight at the moment. But really nothing separates these 3. And of course, if Bartzer is punching the hole for these other guys to race in, then he might run out of fuel sooner. And if they are marginal on making that extra lap, he might have to come into the pits, which would be very costly. Pitting and eventually coming back out into traffic and having to make some move, getting held up on the Nordschleife section. Of course, also the fact that you will have more fuel on board, and you'll have to have a longer pit stop. So fuel saving is important. Brown really nailing the run onto the Dotnerhout, and once again, this will be easy for him to pass as they head up the hill and then back down the hill, going on to the GP section. The amateur driver, denoted by that amber colour, takes the lead off the elite driver by the purple. But we've seen this the last couple of laps, and so far Barta has been able to always get the run onto the pit straight. Let's see if he can do the same thing again. He's very close.
Yeah, the BMW is very, very strong down the straight line. You see the grip and acceleration out of the final corner there for Barta equally as good. He's going to be able to get up for another move here. It's going to probably be a repeat of what we saw before. But for Lockie Brown right now, if he can maintain this position and stick as close as he can with these guys, this is almost like a bit of a dress rehearsal for him come the final laps of the race. We see the Porsche just get the power down and gets back in front. But for Brown, if he can do what he's been doing, he's going to find himself in a really good spot. Potential here that he can take the race win. Obviously, we've still got a long way to go. We're only 24 minutes into an hour and a half event, but consistency definitely going to be absolute gold there for him.
Yeah, that straight line speed on the last lap is going to be very useful. Just needs to make sure that he stays in that range, and he'll be looking good. Could even see a good run to the line potentially as well. Always love that around this circuit. Few drivers coming into the pit. Bartanian came in, I don't think with any damage. Also Karan and Krisdale coming into the pit. So there's been a few drivers who have opted in so far, but the vast majority staying out as long as they possibly can. We are expecting them to come in about lap 7. We think, Daniel? Although actually, I don't think the fuel is limited, is it, for the first one? So actually, they could probably go to the hour, which would be lap 8. But yeah, not 100% sure.
No, there is a fuel limit come the opening stint for all these guys, so they will need to come in early. I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing drivers in probably next lap. By the time you throw another 8 minutes onto that, we're getting about 30 or 35-minute range, which is probably about the ideal time really to come in and knock over one of those stops. Looking at the conditions at the moment, I'd probably say fuel is where you'd want to be. Save the tyres for that final run home, get the car a little bit lighter and try and punch in the lap times that you need to get those last few positions.
Edwards currently top of the drivers who have come into the pits. Unfortunately, we don't have a representative lap time for him because his last lap was an 8:26 because that was his out lap. But he is ahead of Bartolini, which is good news. Saying that, Edwards was only stationary for 3 seconds. He basically took a fast repair and was straight back out on circuit. However, he is in some clear air. Hasn't had too much traffic, I think, of Edwards. And you can see the amount of whites as well on the screen in front of him. Hasn't got too many cars to deal with. So he is playing in these lap times, and I think still a top 10 is possible for him. Unlikely, but a faultless race could get him back up there. And of course, the lucky virtual safety car might just help him as well. Joshua Thomas, he is in 5th place. He's under pressure though from Harley Haber. He's as close as he can get. However, this is a narrow part of the circuit, and the BMW is a very wide car. No way through for him. We've seen plenty of incidents, particularly around this left-hander, just going over the brow, squeezing to lose control of the car, and get on the treacherous curbs we have around this track. But Thomas is staying ahead. 12.8 seconds off the lead are these two.
Yeah, I'm really surprised Haber struggling just a little bit here at the moment to get the Porsche through, but Thomas placing the car exactly where he needs to. See a slight little slide as he works his way through there. But the BMW, especially through this twisty section of the circuit, seems to really have the BMW's measure right now. But Haber, we've seen him in some previous races, clean and methodical with the way he drives these cars. He'll definitely find an opening here and potentially, if not, maybe pressure Thomas into a bit of a move. But you can already see he's not letting away or letting the BMW go. That car moving around a lot underneath him. You see the wheel work being applied to keep that thing straight on the road. I
would not want to drive that car. Yeah, and so the way that Haber is currently driving it, you really want to have as little sliding as possible as Thomas runs wide onto the curb. Curbs are so tricky around this. I mean, they're really. I'm trying to think of maybe Sebring, where they're pretty tricky as well. But I think this is probably the most difficult. If anything, it would be easier if it was just grass on the edge of the circuit, because the curbs just unsettle the car so easily. Haber's got a chance here. Thomas can put his car into the middle of the circuit, but it is pretty difficult to defend after the left-hander King. I doubt he will go for it into this one. Just maybe lift off, but here's his opportunity. He draws alongside, and that should be job done for Harley Haber. Track just wide enough, and through goes the United Sim Sports driver. Runs a little bit wide onto the grass, but he is up into 5th place. 13.5 seconds off the lead. The win is looking unlikely for him. The podium is looking unlikely, but Ross Vizet is certainly in touch 5 seconds up to him.
Yeah, definitely. Actually, just catch a slight glimpse there of Rizzo's Trick Esports Ford just in the bottom of shot there. But for Haber now, he's got his sights firmly set on that next position, and you can already see he's starting to gain a little bit of an advantage over Thomas. But that was a pretty brave move for him around the outside to get that one completed. I guess just touching back too quickly with the comments around the curbs. The curbs, while they are in their own right extremely tricky, the way the road flows here really does draw you in and make that slight little error there. Waiting just a few feet off the road is that curbing, the Armco barriers there, and it's certainly a lot more difficult for these guys trying to get the most out of it and navigate their way through there.
I think it's sometimes a traffic penalty for Haber for causing collision. Well, that's raining on his parade. Traffic penalty for Haber, which you'll have to take pretty soon because his pit stop is coming up. Great shame for him. I'm not quite sure what that one was about. Can't quite recall the incident for Haber on the first lap. He did make up a lot of places in the first couple of corners. He did make up 4 places in the first 3 or 4 corners. So I wonder if it was something to do with that for Haber. And he will be sending down the order. Probably will cost him about 15 seconds. Should put him back. It might only lose him 2 places, to be fair, 3 places. He might put him behind Hutford. Also, a drive penalty for a lap 4 incident for Jean Curran. So he got away with a penalty earlier on, but he has received a penalty this time. Has come into the pits as well, so he's a bit out of position already.
Yeah, those drive-through penalties for those guys really going to hurt them. Going to impact their overall strategy as well, given that we've not seen any of really our top 22 drivers yet to come down the lane. So I'd expect at the end of this lap, Haber, as you say, will be down. Curran should be down as well. But that's going to really hurt those guys and really take away what could have been a good run there for him.
Healy's got past Brown. Brown not close enough this time for the draft on Barter. And it's left him vulnerable to Healy, who has got past. Only a 1/10 of a second though between the 2 of them. A little bit more actually now. We have to just pull away as Healy, and Brown, looking so strong earlier on, now drops back into 3rd place. Still very much in the running, of course he should have a fuel advantage on the race leader. Healy now 1.7 seconds off the leader. We'll keep an eye on if he can get that gap to under a second by the time they get onto the Dotnaho on the next lap. That'll be very strong through the first couple of corners. We might get a replay actually of what happened to Harley Haber on the opening lap, but he has come into the pits for his drive.
Oh, that's a bit of a tough one. Yeah, that's a tough one for Haber there. Looked like he was trying to split the 3 cars down the inside. Just catching, might have been the car around there. Here's another look on board. You see him all down heavy into the braking zone. Haber carrying a huge amount of speed there. Just not able to get it pulled up enough for the run down into turn 1.
Shame for Haber. He's been a fantastic addition to the championship. Very accomplished driver in supercars. Hasn't quite been a fantastic season for him in the AOSC championship, however. I'm not sure if he's done the last couple of rounds in the AOSC championship. No, certainly setting his sights on this series. Has been very quick, but yet to win a race. They've won Le Mans actually. I'll check the standings for that one, but not quite his day so far. And he did come into the pits and did come out behind Huppert and Morris as well, so it did lose him about 20 seconds for the car number 921. Can still recover some good points, however, from today's event. Scott Cisłowski always goes under the radar, does Cisłowski, but he's up 21 places. Benson Hobson as well up 21 places, just in front of him. That is slightly skewed by the pit stops, but I think probably 15 of them are legitimate overtakes so far. They've got Philip Morton just in front of them. Morton, impressively, already pitting, as Cisłowski rather embarrasses himself on stream by spinning.
Yeah, he won't like that and won't have hurt him too much, but he has lost quite a bit of a time advantage to the guys in front. Hobson doing a really good job. We don't see him enough in this championship here. He has been in the AOSC quite frequently, and we know he's exceptionally good in the long endurance style events. So he's putting on a very good show. And for those who enjoy the onboard action from Hobbo, check out Hobbo 88 on YouTube. He does normally stream these races as well. So from the driver's point of view, very good way to go around. Phil Morton, I know we spoke to him a little bit earlier, the man who knows pretty well every corner around this Nurburgring circuit, doing a very solid job, only up to one position, but the BMW looking Porsche looking very, very good in his hands at the moment.
When did you learn the corners around this circuit, Phil? Around this circuit thing? I mean, I remember GT5 days, and I learned it pretty quick. I think I learned it pretty quick. Was there how long did it take you to learn this place? Because it's something when you tell people, they kind of think, geez, that's insane that you know off heart a 14-mile circuit, and yet you do enough lap times here. It's pretty simple.
Well, to answer your question, I think probably the first time I played it would have been Gran Turismo. I remember going through this section as one of the licenses, and I can't remember which one it was, maybe 4 or 5. As for knowing the names of the circuit, I have no clue. I can tell you Dottingaho, that's about the only one I know, probably the most famous one to know. But I'm looking at a tablet here with every circuit corner for this, or every corner for this circuit, and I can't pronounce any of them. So I couldn't even tell you where they are on circuit at the moment. That being said, actually, for anyone who's watching the stream and would like to see where the cars are out on circuit, the link in the description there will take you to the live timing app presented by SDK Gaming. From there you can pull up the live timing and scoring. You can also get a look at the track map and see where everyone is actually situated on this circuit at the moment as they work their way around. But yeah, I can't pronounce any of these names. And for anyone who can get them properly, hats off to you. Definitely a tip of the hat, because it's a good effort there.
.1 between the leaders as we watch Lee Siddles with Chris Woods, Paul Woods in front of him. There you go. Chris Wood, gee, that's the name from the Fast on the Fast BSR driver. But no, it's Paul Woods who is just being overtaken by Siddles. And up into 37th now. They've got Hughes, the rookie driver, indicated by his red colour, red position background. The rookie driver running in 36th, top of the rookie drivers. Apologies, Paul Warwick. Paul Warwick is behind. No, Paul Warwick is in 31st place. Apologies. So Warwick is actually the top of the rookie drivers at the moment, doing very well there for Fishy Motorsports. He down to 0.9 now. He's within draft range, and we're getting pretty near now to the Dotnaho. I say that, actually, no, we're still a couple of minutes away from the Dotnaho, but still, that's got to be coming into their minds. And look at that. Little by little, taking time out. Look at that again. I swear that you will be faster than your rival by in 5 consecutive sectors. He's just got that little bit more confidence, it seems to be. Willing to push it a bit further, use a little bit more of the track, and he will be within draft range when they get onto the Dotnaho, as long as he can maintain the gap as it is. Certainly looks like the fastest driver at the moment on circuit, but has the fastest eligible fastest lap of the race. Apologies, no, actually no, it is Healy with the fastest lap of the race. A 8 minutes dead, 0.15. A little bit lost there for Healy, but still looking good for him going on to going near the end of the circuit.
Yeah, Healy doing a really solid effort. The last 5 sectors, as we've seen up on screen there, have all been personal bests for him as he works his way through. So the pace looking really, really solid in the Trick Esports car, and they'll definitely be hoping for a solid result to get that car through. Just keeping on a few of the other cars coming through. So Pat Gallo is starting to close up on 40th position not that long ago. He's actually dropped off a little
Thomas.
bit now. So
Thomas has had an off, and Clements has had an off simultaneously.
And I think Dave's actually beached the Ford there, lighten up the tyres and not going anywhere at all. Oh, look, he's in a pretty precarious spot down at Aschenbach, so possibly we might see that.
Seems like it is a virtual safety car. Yeah, they get down to the speed limiter. Okay, so where is Barter and Healy? Are they going to be able to come into the pits? If we get cameras on them, this could be very good for them. Could be very bad for them. They will try to get into the pits. It depends how long this virtual safety car period lasts. And this is going to be best for Barter. In fact, this is remarkable how close he is to the pits. This is the longest circuit we have on the calendar, and yet he's a couple of corners away from the pit lane. And obviously, when you're trundling down the pit lane, you're not going to lose nearly as much time because you're on the pit limiter, and everyone who's supposed to be blasting past you is on the pit limiter as well. But he's not coming into the pits. Why is he not coming into the pits? Come on, man. Got to come into the pits. Well, that's what Healy is doing. He's listening to me. But Barter has surely missed a trick here. I realise that he wants to stay out on fuel, but this is a really good advantage here for Barter as long as this virtual safety car lasts for a little bit longer. You know what? It's not going to benefit them that much. It's probably benefited Healy a little bit, but not to a massive extent, and it's not really going to help Lockie Brown too much either, as they do get back underway. It's cost those as well down the Dopner Height. Remember, they should have been doing 150 miles and 180 miles an hour even, and instead they were doing 60 odd, whilst the others in the mountainous sections should have were probably only losing about 50 miles an hour on pace. But I'm shocked that Barter hasn't done that, and I think that probably puts Healy ahead of him. Theoretically, it's going to have to be a massive lap now from Barter in order to keep the lead.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, we've seen races already for drivers actually get a win off the back of a VSC. If you remember back to Daytona, we saw that victory coming down ultimately to the results that happened in the VSC as a few more drivers dropped in the lane. That's Matt Morris and Healy in there. And 2 cars that stopped just before Healy and Brown back underway.
Might just be getting a replay at the moment of how Dave Clements got beached on that curb. Here he is, fantastic profile picture as well for Dave. One of the best that we have on Apex Racing 2. Oh, just the slightest touch with the grass, and then pick that one out. That doesn't happen usually.
A bit of a unfortunate end there, just to clip a little bit of the grass. Although it looked like when he stopped the car, it was actually rotated in the right direction there. So I don't know whether he's tried to half spin it back around, which is ultimately what's led to that situation. But yeah, just trying to get it up there. It's beached itself on the curb there, and unfortunate for Dave, not going to be able to take further part in that one.
Yeah, once you say back to the pits, you're not allowed back on circuit, I believe. That'll be the end of his day. Dave, who looked good around this circuit, he looked quick. Qualified well, up in the top 25. He's not going to get any significant points from it. So Barter leads, Rizzo second, Joshua Thomas in 3rd place. Mario Vartanin, who's already pitted in this race, he's battling right now with Craig Edwards. Both these guys pitting. In fact, they are 6th and 7th outs of drivers who have pitted. In fact, pretty much half the order now have come into the pits, maybe even 2/3 of the drivers that are coming to the pits. And Barton momentarily, at least, pulling away from Edwards. They've got Sisvalski ahead of them, who hasn't come into the pits so far in this race. And you've got Morton, Haber, and Thieven, who all have currently leader of the drivers who has come into the pits is Michael Healy, who took a pretty long pit stop, actually, did Healy. He's 10 seconds at the moment ahead of Lockie Brown. Apologies, he took a pit stop 10 seconds longer than Lockie Brown, but the gap between the two of them is actually very marginal. You might want to have a look at that one with Healy. There they are. Brown might try to pass him. These two have swapped positions on a number of occasions earlier on. In fact, actually, no, just the once. It was just Healy catching up to Brown and passing him on lap 3 of the race. But maybe with that slightly lower fuel, the BMW coming back alive. And he's almost in range for an auto, but they've got to make sure they don't lose each other too much time, because their real fight is against the race leader, Hugh Barton.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's going to just take a fraction more time for Healy just to get those tyre temps up, although he's already starting to kick a bit now against Brownlee. So Brown, so should be able to start pushing on. He's got Adrian Vlock just ahead. You can see the Fordzilla Ford up there. Actually, apologies, the BGF Quick Fix Computers car, recent name change for that team. And that must be said, Vlock doing a very solid job, up 6 spots from where he started, currently 5th, yet to come down the lane for his stop, however. So that will drop him a little bit further back afterwards. But very good showing for Vlock already in this Ford.
BJ Kennedy, 2.5 minutes at the moment off the lead with a pit stop completed. Scott's losing these drivers. Ooh, that was pushing it hard. That was almost tipping a wheel through. Someone did what Edwards did earlier on in the race. But yeah, has pitted so far. Mitchell Bales also pitting in front of him. But Kennedy is on lap 2 of the race, so he might have to come into the pits pretty soon. We're over halfway now through this race, and still not sure who's going to win this one. And still a possibility of virtual safety cars, as we were looking at earlier on. It can mix up the order. Might be part of the saving grace. At the moment, we do think he is going to drop into a 2nd or 3rd position when he comes into the pits. And he's nowhere near close enough to Bales at the moment. It's been a pretty good attrition rate so far, Daniel. Often we see races around here. I remember the Sim Racers World GT Championship around this game, and we saw only about 60% of the drivers who started get to the end of the race. But today it's been much better driving from the drivers.
Yeah, once everyone sort of settled down and we got past the little incidents we saw on the opening lap, it's become a really solid race for everyone. We can see the move for Healy on the back of Lockie, trying to flash the lights and get him noticed.
Virtual safety car again. It's Ross Vizzo. Is it Ross Vizzo? He was off the circuit for a bit, was Vizzo? No, he's alright. Kane Ryder?
No, I think it's position
Simon
33.
Nicholson?
It is Kane Ryder, yeah. Kane Ryder stationary.
I was going to get there eventually. Ryder, he was running up in the top 10. Has he got featured as well? Oh, it looks alright at the moment. Oh, no, it's fine. It's fine. And bit of an Austin Powers moment.
Yeah, a bit of a weird one as to what ultimately brought that one out. The car's still stationary though, so...
Oh, was it Nicholson instead? Oh, he's got stuck in the wall, Nicholson. And then, on his side. Quite a sight for the other drivers. So we have no virtual safety cars for a while, and then we have 2 in succession. Where is Bartzer on circuit? It's not cost him too bad. Don't want to be in the dot and the hoe when these virtual safety cars come out. I don't think that's going to change the order too much. You want to be on a slow part of the circuit at the moment. That's when you're going to benefit from it. But there's not really any slow and fast parts of the circuit besides the Tottenham and maybe the GP circuit as well, a little bit faster than the rest of the track. doubt this one will be out for too much longer, and we'll soon be able to get back underway. Also changes the fuel strategy slightly for these guys. Might be able to use a little less fuel, although again, very, very small effects. As about to get underway, who will be first to react?
Safety car is now withdrawn. Everyone back up to speed again. Good jump from Robert Crisdale there to get the JPS Simsheds forward up and running. He's going to have to be careful though. Jordan Prudence for Right Sim Racing looking to have a crack at them. They're not that far behind Vaughan Ryder there either, so that's a pretty good shot for them. And Matt Morris just lurking in the background with these guys as well, down in the 17th spot, has completed a stop, similar to the guys ahead of him. So not looking too bad for either of these guys, but for Vaughan, a little bit struggling to get the BMW up to speed.
Leader's going to be in imminently, I think. That's actually down to 13.6 seconds between the top two. Oh, Adrian Vlok. Has Vlok had an issue? Oh no! There he is. Well, I think he's alright. I think he's just dropped it through the mini car, so you can see tyre smoke kicking up. So I think he's just lost control of his car. Was running in 5th place. It's not the end of the world for Vlok. Of course, he will, even if he has hit the wall, he will get a faster pair. I personally absolutely despise this corner. It's one of the most tricky, and actually he's been hit up the rear by Michael Healy. Wonder if that's going to warrant a penalty later on, which could really change the situation of this race. Rock was slow, but you could argue Healy should have left more as a margin. Let's see what the stewards think.
I think that's a bit of a tough one there, because it looked like watching the Ford go through that carousel, there was a little bit of movement in the rear of the car there, and with Healy on drive out trying to get through, not really probably a lot that he could have done to avoid that one, I don't think, especially with Brown right behind him there. Race leader Cubata in the lane along with Huppets and Thomas as well. That leaves Ross Rizzo to continue on his merry way for Tricky Sports at the moment.
Really bad for Bart to hit. Really bad. He's a long way behind. He actually had 7 seconds shorter stationary than Michael Healy, and yet he is now 10 seconds behind. So that's just a mixture of Healy doing the right thing, coming into the pits under safety car. I think that saved him a few seconds. I think also that second virtual safety car as well, on a slightly faster part of the circuit for Barter, and that meant that he lost a bit more time when it came out. So massive shame right there for Barter, who led much of the early stages, and he's now got a lot of comeback to go. But if Healy gets a penalty, which we don't think is going to happen, it is a possibility. If Healy does get a penalty, then he will be back into the mix. Brown actually gets him past Healy, but remember Brown with a longer second stop to come, he did take much less fuel in his first stop. Martin Crisp battling with Hobson and Delaney, master of the first sector. Blake Delaney. All of these guys are coming in a couple of laps ago, so they're all carry on their way. Well, I'll say that. Delaney, proving me wrong. Into the pits, that'll be his final pit stop. Delaney, I wonder if he'll take new tyres as well.
Yeah, and that's not too bad. Just over 38 minutes still left on the clock, so he's in a pretty good position here. See Hobbo with a big dive down the inside, not quite able to get that done, but does set himself up nicely to get a good solid drive out of the second portion of the corner there. Still struggling a little bit behind Chris, the ultimate pace, but coming on quite nicely as this race is unfolding for him. Rizzo out front though with a pretty solid gap, 30 odd seconds ahead of Brown, but we're seeing a lot of our drivers upwards of about 56 seconds total transit time. That's going to put him well down the order, somewhere back out around Edwards, I'd say, when this one all unfolds for himself.
Who was that, sorry?
For Ross Rizzo. But actually, that's actually not bad position, because that's going to stick Lockie Brown now up to effective race leader, and we've still got that potential penalty hanging over the head of Michael Healy which we don't think, as you say, don't think anything's going to come of it against Adrian Vlock, but race stewards will definitely still be having a look to ascertain that one.
I recommend opening up the live timing link in the description below, provided by SDK Gaming, because the order that you see at the moment, I think it's tricky to get your head around what's actually going on in this race, because we've had drivers taking vastly different length of pit stops. Some drivers taking tyres, some drivers not taking tyres, some drivers taking lots of fuel, some drivers taking no fuel. So I really recommend opening up the live timing link in the description below. That will open up a web page, and that will list the drivers' last lap times, the intervals between each of the drivers, and most importantly, their length of pit stop, also the laps that they came into pits, and how many pit stops they've made. It's really useful in a situation like this, because Brown does have track position on Healy, but Healy with a longer first pit stop. Also, Phoeben pretty close to them, but Phoeben with a really short first pit stop. However, he's still got tyres to take. So it's very difficult to get your head around. I certainly recommend anyone watching to click on that. Thanks to SDK Gaming for also providing this fantastic overlay. And you can get your own overlay on sdkgaming.co.uk. You can go edit some of the settings, and you can make it look however you want. I certainly recommend doing that. Jeremy Clark, half a second behind Matt Morris. It's in lap 1 actually, did Jeremy Clark. I don't think I remember seeing him out on circuit today, the 712, but he's actually in a decent position right now. And it's really legitimate position as well. He took tyres, I think, on that one as well, so he won't have to take tyres again later on in the race.
Yeah, he's having a very solid run there, and we've sort of seen from Right Sim Racing over the seasons. They've been getting very, very quick in these GTE cars. We've seen Matt Morris just sliding past Rob Crusdale. Jeremy Clark's now going to line up to have a shot at these guys as well, so it could be interesting to see him climb a couple of spots. But Right Sim Racing, similar to a few teams we've seen through in AOC, most notably probably DPR Racing, really starting to come on, and they're finding a lot of form in these cars now.
Quite a bit of dust picked up by the drivers ahead. A little bit unusual to see. We have seen a few offs around that part of the circuit, maybe a bit of dirt being kicked onto the circuit, but a little bit for the drivers to deal with. But you can see that windscreen pretty clear. I assume when you're spectating the windscreen, the marbles on the windscreen are resembled. I'm not quite sure. Let us know on the chat if you know the answer to that, because sometimes it can get pretty tricky to see what's going on ahead of you if you follow a car for a while. And that windscreen looked pretty good for Jeremy Clark, because it is reset every time you come into the pits. Vlock and Barter are very close to one another. Vlock still yet to pit. Did have a spin. Barter just trying to recover a podium out of this one. You'll be in a tight tussle, I imagine, with Phoeben and Rizzo for that final spot on the podium. And he can't get past the 340, who I don't think has any quabble with the driver behind, but just running his own lines, and at the moment the Porsche gets him past.
No, a little bit of a struggle there for Barter, but he'll be ruined the missed opportunity not to have come in when that first VSC came through, which we saw Healy and Brown taking full advantage of. He'll be absolutely bitter himself for missing that and ultimately falling down to the position he's in, because if he had to come in with those guys, he'd be right thereabouts. And also looks like now Healy has closed up for the fight to second position as well. That gap into 210 as they work their way through the conclusion, or actually just about to get onto the Dottinger Ho.
It's annoying as well for Bart, because he would have benefited more than anyone else from it. He was at the head of that train, and so he would have been furthest down the pit lane when the virtual safety car stopped. And so for him, it was the most obvious to him, you know. And yeah, I'm sure that's cost him between 5 and 10 seconds doing that, and also just unluckiness, the place on circuit where The second virtual safety car came out as well. Rizzo into the pit, so that's as far as the fuel can go. Just under an hour. Expect a few others to come into the pits as well. I think will Theben be in this lap? I think Brown actually might be in on this lap because he only took tyres. Didn't he took any fuel earlier on. I'd say with a couple of good laps at the end there. Minute 2s, 8-minute 3s. Still a couple of seconds off the ultimate lap times, but when he was in clear air, that's still pretty good. Here comes Brown then. So yeah, I was right. He did only take tyres during his first stop. And also, Theben as well. I was surprised by Theben. He took 10 seconds worth of fuel, did Timothy Theben. I thought he'd be able to go a little bit further, and actually lots of others as well, all coming into the pit. Barter, who only pitted 1 lap ago as well, did Barter, but he's now going to take some fuel. So you were talking about this earlier on in the season, Daniel, where drivers come in for their first stop, maybe take tyres during their first stop, and then the very next lap they come in for some fuel. Seems that that's the strategy around this Nordschleife circuit, much longer lap, and that's what a lot of these front runners have gone for.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when we were speaking of that, we were at Silverstone or discussing it for Silverstone race, where we'd seen it a few seasons ago with drivers electing to trial that strategy. And with the short lap that you have at Silverstone, only a couple of minutes, you really don't get full advantage of it. Coming to a circuit like the Nurburgring, where you're looking at an 8+ minute lap, for the slower guys, you're definitely in a good stead. You're looking at what would traditionally be 3-4 laps, maybe on a normal circuit. You're going to get more of a benefit coming in the following or the preceding lap to get those stops checked away. So for the guys coming in, not a bad idea. This, though, with Healy managing to stay out there while everyone else from second, third, fourth down came in and elected for their second stop, this could potentially bring the likes of Brown and Barter back up into this fight.
No investigation at the moment for Healy. It seems like the stewards didn't even decide to look at that incident. So no worries for Michael Healy. Then he has got a massive advantage right now on those pretty fresh tyres. Oh, another virtual safety car. Where is Healy on circuit this time? Is he moving on to the Nordschleife? This could be really good for Healy. That's I don't know if that. I don't know. I'm not sure what parts of the circuit are quick, what parts are slow. When you're on the Nordschleife, it feels like a roller coaster. It feels like you're absolutely flying along. And then on the GP circuit, it kind of feels a bit more tedious because everything's not coming at you quite as quick. I'm not sure who is the driver who has come to a halt. Although I think Scott Newton may have found it. No, we thought that might be Vartanen, but turns out it's not. I'm just trying to see who's got 0 speed. But only drivers in the pits who've got 0 speed at the moment.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. I did see quite a few guys sort of showing as off tracks and incidents potentially around sort of that back section just before we get up to the Dottinger Ho. So looks like a few guys have come to grips there, but we are just about to get commenced.
Yeah, maybe Whitling was yeah, we are back underway. Again, not sure who that's benefited. Some of the drivers who have already come into the pits for their second stop on the GP section. Maybe that is a slightly faster part of the lap than this start of the Nordschleife that Michael Healy was on. So far, these virtual safety cars, he's have kind of benefited him on the most part. Rizzo as well, 24 seconds behind him. Vlok going to be overtaken by Barter again, it seems. There he goes. But I wonder, were there a few drivers who came into the pits whilst the virtual safety car was out? Maybe Harley Hayburn, Philip Morton, I think, may have been in the pits when the virtual safety car came out. So might benefit those couple of drivers, but none on the front, none of the drivers right at the front. Maybe a few on the fringes of the top.
Yeah, definitely. It's not really going to help them too much. I think the big loser for the next round of stops, as we're seeing the time starting to come down, definitely going to be Michael Healy, though. Not that far ahead from the current effective third and fourth that we're watching at the moment in Barter and Block, but Block does need to come down the lane one more time to get that stop done. Healy's only got himself a bit over 50 seconds advantage between himself and Barter. That might be just enough to get that car in and serviced and back underway, but certainly cutting it very, very fine.
Yeah, I think he'll be all right. The amount of fuel that you'll have to take, I think, is about 20 seconds. He's already taken 10 seconds of fuel. So I think he will only be stationary for 10 or 15. Pit lane loss is about 30 seconds. No, is it 30 seconds? 25, I think. No, I think it was about 20 seconds, wasn't it? 20, maybe 25 seconds. So we'll probably lose 35, 40 seconds. So yeah, it could be close. Could be close between Healy and Barter. Thought Healy would be further ahead than that, to be honest. So yeah, maybe a chance for Barter to still challenge. However, Healy on low fuel at the moment and on just as fresh tyres should have the pace advantage at the moment on his driver, and of course also has a clear track up ahead of him. This is one of the only battles out on circuit at the moment. It's Eddie Beswick. That's in with Brinton Hobson. Beswick has made his 2 stops though. Made his 2nd stop, yeah, on that last lap. Meanwhile, Hobson only with the 1 stop so far, sitting on lap 5 of the race. There you can see the change of positions, and Beswick one of the highest gainers out there, up 7 places.
Yeah, really solid run out there at the moment for Beswick's. Looking in pretty fine form at the moment. Hobson up 22 ahead, but as you say, still got that 1 stop left to go. But these two, the car's looking very, very clean. Beswick just a little bit of understeer slide as they work their way up the hill into the left-hander. Tricky trying to get the car through that corner there, trying not to take the curb and maintain the power down. So loses just a fraction of time, but as the cars get up to their top speed through this little quick section, you already see the gap starting to come back into his favour.
24 minutes to go in this race. We can start to think how many more laps we're going to get in this race. It looks like the drivers are going to cross the line with about 22 minutes to go, which will mean that we'll have 3 more laps to go after this one. That'll make it an 11-lap race, which I think is what Scott Newton said. Right from before the broadcast even starts. He predicted 11, maybe 12. I think we will just be limited to the 11. Yeah, ain't at that time yet. Don't think we'll be able to get to. Yeah, that'll be fine. Peter Hunter. What has happened to the Velocity Motorsports magazine driver? He's got damage, and then spins. That was there it is for you. Yeah, that car's not quite fit for the track. I don't think we'll see a virtual safety car. I think that will just be him turning back to the pits.
Yeah, it looked like a little bit of issue on the curb there, so unfortunate for him. But the other Velocity Motorsports magazine car in the hands of Matt Morris, having a very respectable race at the moment. Morris down in 9th position, up 8 from where he started. And the car coming along quite well. It's been a pretty good, solid effort for him tonight. Again, one of those ones where the qualifying wasn't on point, but certainly dragged that car back up through the field throughout the course of the race.
Once again, thanks for tuning in to this round 7 of the Aussie Mixed and Fixed GT Championship. Certainly appreciate you watching this stream. I think it's always, yeah, like I said earlier on, always fantastic to see GT cars racing around the Nordschleife. Something quite unusual. And so hopefully you've enjoyed the show so far. Remember, we are broadcasting these Aussie Mixed and Fixed GT races every single week. So we've still got another 6 rounds to go even after this one. We're only midway through the season at the moment. So continue tuning in every Sunday. We've got 1 more endurance round. So these are the 90-minute, the endurance rounds. Got 1 more at Barcelona, and then we'll have 5 45-minute races to finish off the season as Delaney hits the wall. I wonder if you might have a bit of steering damage from that one. Yeah, certainly do tune in for those ones. And of course, if you've liked this video, please do leave a like on it, and also subscribe as well to the iRacing Esports Network. There's loads of stuff going on at the moment, featuring loads of different categories of racing. And also, if you wouldn't mind, please do check out Apex Racing TV as well, where we broadcast many other events as well. Certainly do recommend checking out that one. Delaney still seems to have decent pace. Him and Ryder both a little bit squirrely at the moment. Huppets comes in, will be his second pit stop of the race, and he will drop down to the outskirts of the top 10. I think these drivers might struggle a little bit. Some drivers came into the pits on the last lap under virtual safety car. Seemed to benefit them quite a bit. The likes of Haber and Morton, the most notable of them. But these other guys just about missed that window, and they might lose a bit extra time. Morton moves up into 9th place now with Block and Morris and Co still in the pit. The lane looking pretty close to a move at the moment on Born Rider. Although saying that, Delaney has made 2 pit stops. This battle doesn't mean a whole lot. Yeah, Joe, who's battling with just with the 1 pit stop.
Yeah, very solid drive there from Delaney at the moment. Just keeping an eye too on some of the points from race control at the moment as well. Quite a few drivers have been picked up for speeding. We've already seen quite a few of those over the course of the last few races, where we have seen virtual safety cars as well. So a few of the drivers with a few little minor indiscretions there that race control will definitely need to have a look and adjudicate later on. So we'll keep an eye on that, because that's going to definitely impact some of the timing and scoring at the conclusion of this race. As we watch Blake Delaney just working through the back of the Dottinger Home, not able to close up at all to Vaughan Ryder there in the BMW just ahead. BMW is very equally matched as far as top end speed goes.
Pretty much all the front runners under investigation for speeding under virtual safety car. Ely, though, with such an advantage at the moment, that he might be even if he did get a penalty. Was it 25 seconds they got a penalty for last time, or 20 seconds? I think it was the equivalent of a drive through penalty last time out.
I believe so. I'll double check back on the previous adjudications on that one, because I would dare say that we're going to see a similar type investigation again. Probably a little bit more harsh potentially this time as well, given the obvious use that we've seen over the past 3 or 4 races. It's been quite prevalent in those, and a lot of these guys now should be pretty well on top of the rule books to know that the minute the VSC is down and on, if you're not there, you're definitely going to be in light of a penalty.
Yeah, there was some leniency from the stewards, so I think they measure it 1 second after the virtual safety car is announced. And 1 second after it's announced, if you're over the speed limit of if it's 60 miles an hour, then it's a penalty for you. They were leaving some leeway back in Suzuka, but I think they've taken quite a hard line on it ever since. And just looking at some of the speeds from the drivers under these virtual safety cars, it looks pretty inevitable. Some of our front runners are going to get penalties, but if he can open up a 20-second lead over the rest of the field, then even if he does get a penalty, he should be all right. Very slow car at the moment. Seemingly getting back up to pace there is Martin Crisp. Crisp is off the circuit again, and is that going to be another virtual safety car? He's going to do well to get that car back to the pits. He's already had an issue, so it's not a hardware issue. He's up to pace, but he's just made a mistake. Tips a wheel onto the grass, and Crisp, who's qualified up in the top 10, was dropping back. I think he was down into the lower reaches of the top 20. Philip Morton as well made a mistake. That does look like a hardware issue for Philip Morton. He was having such a good run. Loved this circuit. Was up into 9th place legitimately. I think it may have even been higher than that. And all the pit stops were sorted out. And he has lost out as well. We get another virtual safety car period. Not sure for which incident that was. That one was for. I think Crisp is still going. So I think it was for Morton. And the drivers will circulate round once again. This is bad news for Tansy. This will be fast speed part of the circuit. And To be fair, when a virtual safety car comes out, it's almost an opportunity for the drivers to mess up the speed, potentially getting another 20 seconds added to their end time. Once again, another one for these drivers to deal with, and that's that one that we've had today. But already the virtual safety car ending. This was an off for Vartanian just a moment ago.
Yeah, made a meal of the final chicane there. Lucky it wasn't a bigger shunt than just jumping up over the curb there, but he'll be able to get back underway. But not too much of an issue there. Harley Haber coming back through after his earlier drive-through penalty for contact on lap 1. Been a pretty tough night for him. Finds himself still in 7th position following that one, and starting to close in on the cars in front. He's got Tim Phelan up the road to the tune of about 16 seconds at the moment.
Didn't see anyone come into the pits during that time. No one was around the pit area, so no one really benefited from the virtual safety car. It seems still 24 seconds between the leading two. Just a few drivers still yet to come to the pits. Of course, you can put out on the FDK live timing link in the description below, but very close to the final pit. So we're expecting 11 laps around this track. Oh, that's a big crash for Kozlowski. Well, we saw it very close. We saw Edwards going into the wall at that corner earlier on. And is this going to be another virtual safety car period coming up? Would be terrible news for Healy if it is. Kozlowski stationary, and that looks like it is going to be another tow back to the pits.
Yeah, unfortunately there, as a result of going off where he did, no need for the VSC, but Porsche just losing the front end and gets onto the grass and around she goes, and it's a very unfortunate run for Kozlowski, who's having a very solid drive in that tricky sports Porsche tonight. But yeah, a little bit disappointing for him.
No virtual safety car needed on that one then. If it had come out, it would have been terrible for Healy because he was down the Doppner hose. That would have cost him a lot of time. But all these virtual safety cars are very much favourable so far for the race leader. And he should be ducking into the pits any moment now, or he might pit with just 1 lap to go. You can see 14 minutes of this race remaining, 8-minute laps, so 2 more to go. Pretty simple mathematics there. And Healy, I doubt he'd be able to go another lap. He put in about 10 seconds of fuel earlier on in the race. Or maybe it was all fuel. I think he took tyres and 10 seconds of fuel, and he does that on it. Now he had a 50-second lead over Lockie Brown. This pit stop should lose him approximately 40 seconds, so he should be fine. Still have about a 10-second lead, maybe even 15-second lead as Brown moves ahead of Thomas. He's still yet to come into the pits. Joshua Thomas, very quiet day for the Fishing Motorsports. Joey usually fighting for the race wins this season, but not with the pace here at the Nurburgring. Still solid points and outscoring his main rival Craig Edwards in the championship would be a decent result for him. Healy already trundling down the pit lane, about to come out of the pits, and he is out of the pits. So Michael Healy still leading the way. And by a comfortable margin. Lockie Brown not even onto the pit straight. He should take second place. Rizzo as well. Well, this could be close. Rizzo coming out of the pit lane right now. Where is he? No, Rizzo is still behind. Just coming out of the pits, Rizzo. And Bartzer as well, crucially getting ahead as well. Bartzer only 4 seconds now behind Lockie Brown on that last lap. He was 6 seconds faster. That was an outlap, to be fair. But I think that's still legitimate pace, to be fair, for Hugh Bartz. He's catching up to the driver in second place. Beeban as well, just ahead of Rizzo. So Rizzo, I thought, might be able to gain some time there, but if anything, he's lost out to Beeban in that tight battle for 4th and 5th place. Joshua Thomas as well, also coming into the pits. So everyone has come into the pits then. I'm seeing, apart from Born Rider, who I think will come in on the pits on this lap. So the order that you see right now on your screen is pretty accurate. Oh, Bartz has made a mistake. Bartz is off the circuit. Where has he gone off at Dunlop? He's lost a heap of time. 4 seconds he's lost there. And after looking like he could catch up to Lockie Blount, that's looking very unlikely now with an unforced error.
Yeah, not the spot you want to do it. If anything, being down on the GP circuit is going to afford him just a little bit of leeway there, much wider runoff area. Here's another look at that as we see the car working its way down to Dunlop hairpin there. Gets the car in nicely, just overcooks it a little bit, grabs the brake and has to go off wide there down into the gravel trap. So no harm, no foul. He get back underway, a few seconds lost, but you can make up quite a few seconds over the lap here in the Nurburgring if you can nail those sectors together. And for Barter, that's what he's going to need to now do to get that car home. Steve Jansen had a pretty quiet run down in the 30th position, 10 spots down from where he started the race. So not exactly what he would have wanted to see, but putting in some solid lap times nonetheless. Quickest lap so far tonight was a 8:04. So the pace for him had been quite respectable at the moment. He's got Dave Clements ahead. Shouldn't be too hard for those cars to get through as Vaughan Ryder now drops in the lane from 25th. That'll be his final stop for the night as well.
Apologies for some of these rather strange camera angles. Not the high quality we are used to on Apex Racing TV and for that matter on the iRacing Esports Network, but it's a long circuit to do some cameras for, and so we haven't edited them yet, but hopefully we will do that soon. These cameras aren't too bad. They're not too bad. I think they replicate some of the real life cameras that they have around this circuit. So yeah, it could be worse. Hobson losing out to Karan, who did serve a drive-through penalty earlier on in the race, of course. In 16th place now as the DPR driver. Harley Haber onto the back of Thomas at the moment, Joshua Thomas. Haber pitting a few laps ago, Thomas pitting on that last time round. Haber also serving a drive-through penalty earlier on in the race. He did pass, did he pass Thomas earlier on, and then he served the drive-through penalty. Now he's being able to catch him back up again, so I'll have to do it a second time.
Yeah, I believe so. But for Haber here, he's certainly come on strong over the last portion of this lap. We're about a third of the way, nearly halfway through the lap here, and the BMW definitely looking a little bit more poised. Oh, sorry, the Porsche looking a little more poised than the BMW at this point in time. So it's only probably a matter of time now before we see Haber go around. And last time he did the move around the outside through the little quick twisty section, probably likely to get another one of those done through here. Gets a good exit.
Eddie Beswick in the wall. This looks like a high-speed incident. Now, my bet is he's run wide, dips the wheel onto the grass down the road. I'm wrong. I mean, well, he's run wide. You know, that's something. I mean, that was pretty obvious. He's hit the wall. There you go. And with a lot of steering damage as well. It was for Beswick. This quick right-hander, so much camber down here, and as long as he kind of get some adhesion onto the circuit, it kind of just helps you round the corner and can create immense amount of speed. That was too much speed attempted from the Mach 1 Esports driver, and he has had to tow back to the pits, but once again, no virtual safety car required. Pat Gallo, who spun on the opening lap, I think it looks like he's going to end how he started, with a spin.
Yeah, he won't be too impressed with that as well. This looks like the back of the Porsche there just stepping away from him. He has got quite a few spots down there, but will be able to continue on his fight. Vaughan Ryder squeaking past Martin Crisp there, still carrying a lot of damage after that last incident we saw for Crisp going into the wall. So the Porsche, they're not really working to the best of its advantage, and You see Chris really struggling to get any sort of power out of it. Vaughan Ryder, though, a pretty quiet night for him. Started 25th, currently 25th, and still seeing some good lap times nonetheless, but just sort of not making the impact that we kind of would have thought from him, given what we've seen so far over the last few championship seasons.
Lee Siddle's ahead of him, still yet to pit. So that should be at least one place for him to gain. But yeah, that's not a particularly notable race. Apparently, Dave Clements hasn't pitted. I can testify that's not true. That is not true. He's had some issues.
No.
If anything, he may have. I think he may have towed back to the pits actually earlier on.
Well, there was a tow for the beaching earlier on, and that unfortunately has kept him out of it. I don't know. It's a bit weird though that didn't register as a stop. However, but Clements, not the best of run. Haber now having dispensed of Thomas, starting to gain a little bit of an advantage as he works his way through. Let's just look at that passing opportunity. Almost down into the same spot that we got in last time. Just gets a better run out of the quick sweeper there. Chucks it in hard across the nose there. That could have ended disastrously for both of those two drivers. But Haber with the bigger coconuts gets it around the outside.
Wrong way of pitching it. A big move there for Harley Haber. Has he got a chance of catching up to Rizzo? No. 12.5 seconds with about a lap and a half to go. In fact, the race leader just moving on to his 11th lap of this race. 16 seconds ahead. Now, we are expecting penalties, which is a little bit of a shame because I don't think we're going to be able to give you your final order necessarily when they cross the line, because the amount of virtual safety cars we've had, I think a number of the front runners have sped under virtual safety car, and so the order that we have at the end of the race may not be totally accurate, as Delaney with a big spin, but fortunately for him, he doesn't hit the wall too hard and does a nice J turn to get back going. Beeben under big pressure now from Rizzo. 30 seconds off the lead. Beeben managing to out-strategize Rizzo, who was running up in the 4th place earlier on. These two were the other way round, with the virtual safety cars marginally helping the defending champion. But Rizzo looking like he's got the better pace at the moment. Closing in on that last lap. By the way, fast up the race for Harley Haber, a 59.54. That is the first time under the 8-minute mark so far today.
Yeah, Haber really setting a good pace to drop that car under. Qualifying times were a little bit better than that. We saw some 7:57, go through from our provisional pole position runners there, and just struggling a little to do it now. Track conditions looking very favourable though for the final run home. A 23-degree track temp, 74% humidity for those cars, so they should definitely be enjoying the grip being offered up by the circuit as they work their way around for this, what should be the final time.
Yeah, maybe a little bit warmer than it was earlier on. Jeez, the amount of drivers who sped under virtual safety car. Looking at the sheet right now, there's going to be a few penalties later on, I think. So pretty much everyone as well. So maybe everyone will get a 20-second penalty, and maybe everyone will stay in the same order. But I think Healy, if he possibly can, he'd like to get that gap over the 20-second mark to Brown, in case he gets one extra penalty in relation to Lockie, and also just fill those gaps over other drivers as well. Beeben still 0.6 of a second ahead, but I think Rizzo will just kind of wait till the Dopnahoe to overtake his rival. That one should be very possible. Thomas as well, keeping up with Haber at the moment behind, but few battles at the moment out on circuit. We've also got Glasspool and Huggen. I don't know why I said Huggen like that, to be fair. It's just Huggen, not Huggen. He is the battle for 19th and 20th, pretty close there. Glasspool 5 seconds faster than Huggan on that last. It hasn't been a great season for the defending amateur driver. 60+ drivers will receive a post-race penalty. There's not even 60 drivers out on circuit. That's how many drivers are going to get penalties. They're literally going to recruit new drivers to the series just to give them penalties. There's been that many virtual safety car infractions so far today. I think what that means is that there have been 60+ infractions, and some drivers will probably receive 30 penalties, or three or more penalties. But I mean, it is a rule, Daniel. You've got to get yourself down to the toe. I've raced in these situations before, and it is tricky. It is genuinely very tricky, especially when you're racing with another driver, to get it down to that speed, because you've got to start decelerating about 5 seconds before the virtual safety car is out. But these drivers have had 3 rounds now. In Suzuka we had one. Daytona we had one. Watkins, I don't think we had one, but they should have learned this by now, and well, they haven't.
Yeah, look, it's easy for us sitting here. Obviously, we're not out on circuit. The adrenaline's not as high in the commentary box as it would be out on circuit. But at the end of the day, from an age-old TV commercial here in Australia, rules is rules. And if you can't get the car down in time, well, unfortunately, there is a penalty. And much like you see in the real world, if the guys don't get them down at the required time, there is definitely penalties that befall those drivers. So Race Control are going to have a lot of work cut out for them. I've had a quick look in the list is there, and there's a lot of repeat offenders that seem to have picked up a few penalties. So a little surprising, given how many we've had over the past few rounds, that we're still seeing the kind of infraction numbers that we're seeing. But the drivers just going to have to be very, very cautious going forward, because it's definitely going to be a lot of penalties, a lot of time offered up that really you don't need to give up on the circuit. It's easy enough to lose it here. Don't throw extra time away for a silly mistake and a penalty. So certainly a lot of lessons going to have to come out of this one for him.
Gaspol gets ahead of Huggan. Huggan not fighting too much, 19th and 20th at the moment. For these drivers, they are 2.5 minutes off the lead. So even if Healy does get some penalty, I think he'll be protected against these drivers. But that's still decent points for Glasspool. Not sure what his best result is. I think that's going to be one of his best results. Thomas all of a sudden really quick. Joshua Thomas is keeping up with Harley Haber, and we know that BMW has pace down the straights. Thomas really quite underwhelming, and Haber's quick. Haber's quick in these closing stages. Oh, that's a mistake from Thomas. Oh, you'll be viewing that one, and the gap's up to 1.1 seconds, and that might just be his chances of passing down the Dotnaho. Gone for Thomas. He'll have to absolutely master these last couple of corners in order to get back within draft range. Shame for him. Rizzo is within draft range of Beaver. In fact, he's starting to close that gap down. It was up to 1 second, but it's back down to 0.6, and from this distance back, that should be a pretty simple move down the Dotnaho. It is a couple of kilometers long, I believe, is the Dotnaho. So that's just, look at that. He's getting even closer now, Rizzo. Perfect time to close in on the defending champion. Stephen might have to go for something real wacky in order to keep his rival behind in these closing stages. Bartz as well, down to 4.2 seconds to Brown. You wonder if it weren't for that off earlier on in this lap, maybe he would have been able to get close enough for that second place. Meanwhile, Michael Healy moving on to the Dotnaho for the final time. It wasn't necessarily the fastest driver earlier on, although Tweepet did look like he had the edge on Brown and Barter. And that first virtual safety car came out onto circuit. He made the right strategy call. Meanwhile, Barter stayed out. Healy came into the pits. He saved some time, saved 10 seconds, we think, coming into the pits. And ever since then, he's just been able to build on that gap. Nice strategy from Healy to take a little bit of fuel as well during his first pit stop. He kept track position on Brown, and he's had the pace ever since to hold on to it. It's certainly a provisional race win for Healy. He is under investigation from the stewards for virtual safety car infractions, but on circuit at least, Michael Healy comes to the line to win round 7 of the Aussie Mixed and Fixed GT Championship for Chick Esports. Lockie Brown, the amateur driver, stunning performance from him. He's going to come up to the checker flag now, and for the 324 car, it's a brilliant second place for him. Stays within 20 seconds as well of Healy, which would mean that if Healy gets an extra penalty, that would be the win for Brown. Barter finishes in third place. Shame for him, just it didn't come in under the first virtual safety car. It was always going to be tricky for him after that. Rizzo does pass Beeben right at the close. Haber stays ahead of Thomas. Thomas did get back close again, but he wasn't close enough. And it is Harley Haber who takes home 6th place after a poor qualifying and the virtual safe and the drive-through penalty. That's a good effort from the United Sim Sports driver. Adrian Block and Jeremy Clark, 0.8 of a second between the two of them. This is within passing range at the moment. It's down to 0.75 of a second, and then 0.7, the draft increasing its power as the Ford gets closer and closer. However, it's not looking close enough at the moment. This would be a good result actually for Clark, 13th place. Crisdale and Pruden with very good results in 11th and 12th, just ahead of these drivers. Block will close in. There is an opportunity for an overtake on the run to the line. Clark just needs to make sure that he gets a good exit here. Block still with a slight gap to the driver ahead. Bit of curve from Clark, but Block for BFG Quick Fix Computers isn't going to make it. He finishes in 14th place. Brilliant driving from the front runners there, Danny. It's always a shame at Nordschleife when we see a tight first part of the race. And then, unfortunately, in the closing stage, sometimes it can get a bit spread out because drivers make mistakes and we have a bit of a depleted field. Not so today. It was really close throughout the event. The front runners made barely any mistakes. It's rare that we see such high quality racing in around this circuit. Even top split of the 24 hours, even top split of VLN. Could learn a lesson or two from these drivers.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, for all the guys that are coming, and you can see who's clearly put the time and effort into get the knowledge and understanding of how the track goes, how the workout, how the setup evolves over the course of these runs. Really paid good results for them. Really surprised to see, would have been our top 15, 16 without incident throughout the course of that race, which was fantastic for them. A few guys that did have some issues were able to come back, and I mean, we're still looking at 35 cars at this point in time or 34 cars, sorry, on the lead lap at this point. Considering the size of the field, that's a very, very respectable effort for all these guys.
Yeah, very good driving from these guys. Only started off with 48 drivers, I think. And so for that many of them to be on the lead lap is really impressive. Lee Stiddles makes up a place or two on the last lap. Chris Pellet really struggling in these closing stages. Is he a bit slow? Oh, he's run out of fuel. He's coasting. Come on, deploy the clutch. He's got to get slowed down for this corner. Now, can he accelerate it out here? Oh, he's got barely anything left. Steve Janssen is catching up to him at the moment, but he's still 9 seconds behind him, and Pellet will hang on to that 24th place. It's always a long. Oh no, Nathan, come and give up, mate. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. You're not gonna make it. We haven't got all day. He's got a lot of damage on that car, as Nathan. Unfortunately for him, he will finish a lap down if he can't get it to the line. Martin Crisp as well trying to get it to the line. They've still got 7.5 minutes to get it across. So I'm kind of hoping that Saunders does tow back, because we don't really want to be waiting for those entire 7.5 minutes for that one. But looking forward to the next round of the championship, at least, Daniel. We've got Barcelona next for the final enduro. And I imagine that one's going to be pretty limited in terms of tires. I believe we're using the historic layout, and if that gets a bit warm, they're going to be chewing up tires, and that could be a really important part of that race.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've seen a few series already go to Barcelona and do some endurance racing there. The racing has been absolutely top-notch nonetheless. I know a few people not maybe the biggest fan of Barcelona as a circuit, a little bit boring when you compare coming to, say, the likes of Nurburgring. A little bit boring, but it's going to offer up some fantastic racing, a lot of opportunity for the drivers to get some passing moves done. We're probably going to go back to a bit more of a traditional style with the pit stop strategies, similar to what we've seen at the likes of Daytona and Watkins Glen for all these drivers. But going to be a very good challenge for all of them, having now switching mindset from what we've seen here at Nurburgring and preparing for the slightly slippery track that we're going to see at Barcelona.
I think whilst these other drivers just come across the line, we're actually going to jump into the interviews. We can't bring you up the results quite yet, but we should be able to drag in a couple of drivers for a chat. We haven't so far got our race winner. However, we do have our second place in the commentary box with us, Lockie Brown. Congratulations, second position out there.
Thank you.
Surely your best result in the series. Do you count yourself as a bit of a Nordschleife specialist?
Well, I didn't before this race, but I might be compared to some of the other guys. So, yeah.
Yeah, it was absolutely brilliant out there. Those first few stages looked a lot of fun. You were swapping positions a lot with Hugh Barter. You could get past down the dot in a hurry, but you just couldn't get the move stuck. He was so determined to get past you, and every time he just came back at turn one.
Yeah, couldn't quite cover off the inside, come down the main straight to get it done cleanly. But yeah, definitely a lot of fun those first few laps.
And then later on in the race, can you put your finger on how on how the race leader kind of pulled away, how Michael managed to pull away, because you three looked so close in the early stages, and it seemed like Hugh maybe dropped off slightly because of the virtual safety car. But was it strategy that Michael managed to get so far ahead, or do you think it was just out and out pace?
It's probably a bit of both. My lack of inconsistency probably didn't help. So I think he took a bit of fuel in the first stop, which allowed him to save a bit under the virtual safety cars, which got him that 15-20 second lead.
Also, what do you think about the penalties later on? We've been talking about it quite a bit on the commentary, but do you think you were able to kind of escape any penalties? Do you think for the virtual safety cars you were down to the speed limit, because it looked like many fell victim to it?
I think the first and last one I might be close, so I'm not entirely sure. I hope I'm not, but yeah, we'll have to wait and see.
I mean, best of luck, because you may have won this race, or you may have finished 20th. We don't know.
Yeah.
But on circuit, it was certainly a great result for you, Lockie. Is there anyone you'd like to give thanks to?
No, not really.
No
Not
worries,
really.
no worries. Make a list for next time. Hopefully, we'll see you back on in the commentary box when you get on the podium next time out. Best of luck for next week, Lockie.
Thank you. See ya.
Lockie Brown there, your P2 finisher. Interestingly, we've got P4 currently in the waiting area, which I don't know, maybe Michael Healy's not confident that he's won this race. Daniel, we have got Hugh Bart today, a provisional third place finisher.
Yeah, thanks, Sam. Hugh Barter, congratulations, mate. Very solid result for you tonight, coming home third. Talk us through your race. Looked like you were in obviously very good position early on. You found yourself and Lockie Brown having some pretty good fights down through the Dottingerhoe, the BMW a little bit quicker, but the Porsche seemed to hold its own through the twisty section, especially out through turn 1 and 2. But how was everything out there for you?
Yeah, it was really good. Lucky, like you said, Lucky and I had a really, really cool battle at the start of the race, and Michael kind of saved my life in, I think, the last lap when he passed, or last lap that we did all together, and he passed him, and it kind of gave me a bit of breathing room. So that was good for me.
Yeah, definitely. And let's go back to the first VSC. We saw both Brown and Healy drop in the lane and go through their first stop. Was it your plan? Was it just something that you might have just missed there, getting that car in? Because that looked like once that happened, it did drop you out of the contention to be up in that top fight. Was it the plan to run a little bit longer, or were you originally thinking you might have come down the lane for that one?
Well, to be honest, I thought you couldn't pit under virtual safety car, so that was truly all my fault. Couldn't do anything about it. As soon as they pitted and I saw that I couldn't do anything at that point because I was too far. It was like 2.5 ahead at that point. So I was like, okay, I need the fastest in lap I can possibly do. Take tires, fastest out lap, on a quali pace with low fuel and fresh tires. Unfortunately, I got stuck behind Adrian. Wasn't his fault. It was just bad timing. Can't do anything about it. But yeah, I think if I did get that correctly, I think it would have been a really cool battle between Michael, myself, and Lockie.
Yeah, definitely a little unfortunate there. How obviously have you put many laps into the Nurburgring other than probably what you've done, I guess, this week for practice? Is a circuit you were familiar with going into this one at all?
Yeah, extremely familiar. I don't know how old I am. When I first learnt this track, I think I was like 12, and I knew the first sector or first half of the lap for about a couple months and didn't know anything else because I just kept crashing after Flugplatz. So it took me a while to get this, about 6 months, I'm going to say, or so. But over the years, it's kind of developed to become better and better and better. And now I can just hop into any car really and get the hang of it within a couple laps.
Fantastic, mate. Next week, too, we switch gears. We go from the long track length of the Nurburgring. We're off to Barcelona. I don't think we've seen you out at least in the GT ranks in that car at that track. But how are you thinking your chances are going to be switching pace and taking the Porsche over there?
I think it's going to be pretty good. I really never have driven a low downforce car or a tin top really around Barcelona. I usually drive the high downforce cars like the F3 or the F1 and Assetto Corsa. I actually haven't got the Barcelona track yet, so I'm going to have to do a couple laps there, test it out, and hope for the best.
Fantastic, mate. Well, look, another solid result for yourself tonight. We're starting to become pretty accustomed to seeing the ERT car up in towards the podium confines, but congratulations on third position tonight. Before we let you go, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out and a thanks to?
Yeah, definitely. Like I always say, I really like to thank ERT. They've been helping me heaps and just making me comfortable in the environment. I also like to thank Mum and Dad as well. They've been huge support, and all the other drivers for having a clean and easy race. So yeah, thank you.
Fantastic result, mate, again, and look forward to seeing you out at Barcelona next week.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you.
Hugh Bartzer there, finishing in provisional third place. 14 years old. Hugh. 14. Still 14. Doesn't age any quicker than any of us, but it's depressing. Ross Vizze, who has finished in fourth place today, is in with a chat with us. Ross, first up, where do you think you finished? Because I'm looking at the sheet. You're under investigation for 1 speeding penalty, but that's less than most others. So this one could come to you. You might be standing on the podium by the end of this.
Probably not, but I do appreciate the optimism. But I actually had an off during the VSC. I think I got it under, but then for some reason the pit lane limiter didn't actually engage, so I've come back onto the track and was potentially over. So yeah, I'll probably just put my hand up straight for that one. But it'll look pretty funny, I think. But yeah, a remarkable number of penalties, but it almost doesn't matter where you're going to get it around this track because the average speed is so high that slowing down to 60 kilometers an hour is actually very challenging on most parts of the track.
Yeah, I mean, I've done this. I've had to do the same thing in another series around this circuit, and that was in the Porsche Cup. And yeah, I mean that you have to say that even more in that. But yeah, in these cars, I imagine it's 5 seconds or so you got to be slowing down before the limit even comes in. Looked like a fun race for you, especially with Fieben in those closing stages. You just about got the edge on him in the end.
Yeah, a bit of heart and mouth because I knew he had an off at the start, but I think that played benefit to him later in the race with one of the later VSCs that he was so far back he was able to actually take his next pit stop. So I was hoping as we came out of the final corner to start the last lap that he was going to peel right, and he didn't. So it was a bit heartbroken, but no, the car was really fast today, and I know you guys give the Ford a little bit of a hard time, but it's a good car. It's really fast. Well, not really fast, but it's very, very drivable. But here it was a little bit of a worry through the high speed stuff. With the off throttle fast left handers and things like that, but in the back section towards the dotting hole, the car was an absolute weapon. But yeah, the car's been pretty good. It just does tend to overheat the tires, I think, so that causes it to slide around a little bit, and that's when you tend to start underdriving the car, and that's probably where the pace goes. Well, the relative pace or relative race pace of the Ford seems to disappear, but the pace is there in qualifying. So.
And in the championship, after I think even by your regards, probably a couple of kind of disappointing campaigns, not being able to kind of fight for the title. Third place going into this round, you outscore Edwards comfortably. You outscore Thomas as well by a few points. You're right in this championship at the moment with these consistent results at the moment. So. And you seem to be getting stronger and stronger for each round. You must be very optimistic at the moment.
Yeah, I kind of feel like I'm in a bit of limbo because I can put together a championship quite well, or a championship campaign at least quite well. It's one of my strong points, but there has been a lot of inconsistency with myself this year, and I've let the Ford down quite on a number of occasions. So I need to tidy that up, and I certainly probably didn't get the best out of it today with a couple of penalties. But yeah, you're right. The results have they've been there or thereabouts. They've been similar to what they were last season, but I've been able to control the Ford a little better than I was able to control the Ferrari, I think. So that has yielded a bit of a benefit. So look, I want to keep the pressure on the guys on the front and see what happens, but I don't think there's a real genuine challenge in the championship, but a top 3 would be excellent, I think. So that'll be the goal for the end of the season.
Well, we're certainly rooting for you, Ross. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
So first and foremost, to Michael Healy, our race winner. So he's an absolute beast when it comes to endurance racing, and he loves this track. So it was so good to see him pick up the W tonight. We worked out a strategy together to on pitting, on lap 10 and things like that to work out to minimize the risk. It worked really, really well. So congrats and thank you to Heels. Also to Trick Esports, Pro Sim Gear, Momo, Fuel Auto Tech, to Track Racer for sponsoring the series, and to AMF. Oh, and also a quick shout out to Ryan and Dave. I had the safety car boost map fixed on the I had that accidentally engaged for whatever reason and couldn't change it, so I was on low power for the first 2 laps, and they told me how to trip it by putting on the pit limiter and disengaging it, and it trips it back into the race boost map. So thank you very much, guys. That saved my bacon.
Absolutely. Thanks for chatting with us, Ross, and best of luck for Barcelona.
All right, thanks very much, guys.
Ross Rizzo, your provisional fourth place. But no, it was a good drive regardless from the Trick Esports driver. Anyway, today we should actually be able to bring your results on screen. Once again, provisional, because there will be at least a few penalties because of the virtual safety car infractions. We did have to wait for all the drivers to cross the line, hence why we've taken a while to do this. But here is Michael Healy on the top step of the podium. Lockie Brown in second place, Hugh Bart's third, then it was Ross Rizzo, Timothy Phoeben, Harley Haber, Joshua Thomas, Nathan Harpert, Craig Edwards, and Matt Morris. In the end, a pretty standard top 10. Not too many big shocks in that top 10. Maybe Lockie Brown doing particularly well, but the established guard really doing well in the end around this tricky circuit. Behind that was Jordan Pruden, Robert Crisdale, Jeremy Clark, Adrian Block, Sean Curran, Brenton Hobson, BJ Kennedy, Mitchell Bales, Tom Huggin, James Glaspole, Paul Woods, Blake Delaney, Lee Siddles, Chris Pellet, Steve Janssen, Vaughan Ryder, Dave Clements, Paul Warwick, Greg Sharp, Martin Crisp, Aaron Cooper, James Woods, Ben Ryder, Nathan Saunders, Justin Quinn, and Eddie Beswick, and also Pat Gallo, and Christopher Hughes, and Reese Whitling, and Philip Morton, and Scott Sislowski, Simon Nicholson, Paul Jones, Brad Wilson, Mario Bartonian, Peter Hunter, Michael Whiting, Kane Ryder, Lockhart Brownlee, Aaron Specchio, and that was everyone. There you go. I got a bit confused there because I didn't scroll down far enough on my screen. But that is all your drivers for today. So yeah, a fantastic round of the championship. Daniel, we always like a little bit of controversy up here in the commentary box. But we kind of have a better idea of who's going to be fighting for the championship. We always know that it's going to be between a number of drivers, but this season, once again showing that none of these guys can kind of get a good a long run of results in. I'm not sure if anyone's got multiple race wins even so far this season. It's been so evenly matched, and with one more endurance meeting to go for a few of the guys who kind of want to drop one of the endurance meetings already this season, that could be a real pivotal round.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a championship that's been really tough to get a lot of repeat success. Here, we know a few drivers that have been in other championships, like Ross Rizzo, have been very dominant in GT classes before, but we're just struggling a little bit with the way the fixed setup goes, not being able to tailor the car, just hurting just a fraction. But for the guys that are up in the top half dozen in this championship so far, it's open to anyone. They can really get in with some solid results. Admittedly, there's a few, as you say, not going to be too impressed with their run tonight, and we'll probably see a couple of drop rounds as a result of that. But it's really going to tighten up the championship to finish it off. To come to the conclusion for the Endurance Championship next week at Barcelona, it's a really good opportunity to get maximum points for these guys. Kind of back to the same format we've had with Daytona and Suzuka. The guys just going to find that niche of where they need to be, get the cars right, and I think we'll go back to sort of seeing very similar results to what we've seen in those past few events.
Yeah, I think so. Certainly do watch that one, the last endurance meeting of the season, coming up next time at Barcelona. If you've enjoyed this video, please do leave a like on it. Also subscribe to the iRacing Esports Network and subscribe to Apex Racing TV as well, because we've got loads of action on Apex Racing TV. So subscribe to it. It's where you want to be. Also check out our social media platforms on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. But for now, from me, Sam Fitzpatrick, from Daniel Leitz and from Scott Newton as well, we are going to say goodbye, and we will see you next time out at Barcelona for round 8 of the Aussie Mixed and Picks GT Championship. See you then.